This is a guide on how to off-tank the assembly general. So the first thing you might notice here is that on my front bar I have a range taunt, and I have a range taunt on my back bar as well. That's because as an off-tank, the only thing you're taunting in this fight is the capacitors, and you will be taunting them from range. So let's pause here. You see that the blade arm has broken and the first capacitor has spawned. I taunt the capacitor, and then this is an important part here. Once you taunt the capacitor, notice how I am standing along the front edge, along the light strip, along this light strip. Do not ever go into this dark area back here, because if you stand too far back, the capacitors will behave very strangely, and they will sometimes run up onto your platform instead of stacking up down below. So make sure you're always staying along this light strip here once you're taunting the capacitors. So I taunt the first capacitor, I move him over a little bit that way, and then the second capacitor has spawned, and I will taunt the second capacitor. And notice here that I am dodging onto the ramp. Never ever walk onto the ramp. Always dodge or jump onto the ramp. That's because you see here there is this railing. If you walk this way onto the ramp, you will move behind this railing, and that causes line of sight issues that will cause the capacitors to run up onto your platform here instead of staying down in the trench. So I run onto the ramp and I stay here for a little bit until the capacitors are stacked up, and then I come on down. At this point, the main tanks should be piercing everything, and once they have the capacitors taunted, you can run away. You're free to move about the cabin. Here, I run over to the away team and give them a little bit of vigor and power for assault, and then I run over to this position. The assembly general moves straight, right, straight. So this is the first terminal phase where he'll move straight, and here you notice that as soon as the terminal phase ends, I run up the ramp. And as you run up the ramp, watch out for this ball of lightning. Do not touch it. It will kill you if you touch it. So here we go. You don't have a lot of time between the end of terminal phase and the back area filling up with poison. So as soon as terminal phase ends, you have to book it and come up. And here we go again. Just stay up here, chill. Capacitor response, taunt the first one, move over to the side a little bit to move him in that position, grab the second one, and then once the boss starts walking, jump onto the platform and wait for them to stack up. And once they're stacked up, get out of there. And once the main tank has confirmed that they've taunted both capacitors, you are free to move about the cabin. Here I stayed a little bit to do a little bit of buffing, but okay. I've come to the away team to give them a little bit of vigor. And this is the second terminal phase, so this is the direction that the boss will go, so I'll wait here for terminal phase to end. Terminal phase has ended, and I am moving. Avoid the lightning as you come up, and here we go. This next upcoming terminal phase will be the third terminal phase, where you will be moving straight again after terminal phase ends. Taunt capacitor. Taunt second capacitor. Boss is moving. Get onto the ramp. And wait for the capacitors to stack up. That time the capacitor kind of just teleported into position. I think he was a bit position desynced. But once they're in position and main tank has gotten hold of both capacitors, you can move about the cabin. giving off group a little bit of vigor, and then onto where the boss is going to go, which is right over here. Wait for terminal phase to end. Terminal phase has ended, and up we go. All right, that was the last terminal phase, and after this will be execute. And you'll do things a little bit differently going into execute. I am being very bad about keeping up my vigor for PA. Sorry. I guess I was a little distracted on this one. Taunt first capacitor. Move over to the left a little bit. Taunt second capacitor. Alright. And here you're just waiting for both capacitors to come down the ramp. Or mostly come down the ramp, okay? And then once you have both capacitors to come down the ramp, run all the way over here so that they stack up. And once you see that both capacitors have stacked up on the boss, you can get into your execute position.